Today it's 2025, and I figured it would be a good day to reflect on my 2024 tournament results and go over exactly what I learned and essentially pass that knowledge on to you. So if you're somebody who is just getting into 40K or been playing for a little bit and ready to just jump into the competitive scene, hopefully you can draw some inspiration from this video today, and it just gets you fired up for 2025 and ready to jump into the competitive scene if you haven't yet. So some context, I have not played 40K since 3rd edition, and my buddies and I that I played with in 3rd edition when we were teenagers, probably like 12, 13 years old at our local game store, my buddy was like, hey, they're coming out with 10th edition. There's going to be an app. Like, all the rules are like in digital form. I was like kind of bored of the gaming scene at the time, like as far as like, you know, on the computer, on your Xbox. And I was just kind of itching for something new. So more or less it was kind of right place, right time. And long story short, we jumped in right at the start of 10th edition. This was July of 2023. And I started a Necron army and started building it, painting it up. And I'm going to go into more of that story like in another video. I just want to focus on the competitive scene today and just giving you some early context here before we jump into it. So started July 2023 and then started building out my army, as most would. And my buddy Bryce and I, who's a childhood friend of mine, we were like, yo, let's hit up our first tournament. And that's what you're seeing on the screen here. All right. So it was Shiv WARHAMMER 40K tournament. And it was for a good cause, a fundraiser down at Shiv Games in the Salem area. You know, if you haven't checked them out, it was a great game store. I had a great experience playing there. And definitely would love to go down for an RTT again at some point. So this was very first RTT in 2023 or end of 2023, and December. Was so excited, right? Got my new Necron army. This was back in Index Necrons before the Codex came out. And it was like the endless spam of like the warrior lich guard combo, if you all remember that, with the crypto thralls. I mean, it was very, very strong, but not the most fun thing to play against. So going into this RTT, it was some good lessons. I played a man by the name of Rich Dudley, great guy. And he plays a couple different armies. He actually has Necrons, I think, as well. But he was playing Drukhari. He's got this like super cool Tantalus here that's like custom. I was just like, I mean, that was just so cool going to my first RTT. I'm just like, this is just crazy. Like seeing all the different armies and paint job. I mean, like just total like fanboy moment, I feel like. And needless to say, he kicked my ass. All right. It was, I mean, I feel like it was kind of close, but not really. But you can kind of see my army here, what we had built out. I'm not going to go into that today. I just kind of want to highlight more or less like my results and what I learned through it all. And so yeah, we got my ass kicked the first day. Well, I guess it was only one day because it is an RTT, but I just wanted to show you guys some pictures of these matches. And then one of the highlights of the tournament, I played a mirror match in round 3 against AJ. And to this day, I think this is the first thing that I want to highlight in the competitive scene. Like AJ and I, we talk via like the Marco Polo app. It's kind of like a walkie-talkie, but like in video form. And like on a daily basis, pretty much to this day. And he still plays Necrons. We like bounce ideas off each other back and forth, and like literally made like a genuine friend through it, which is just so cool. And I remember like before the match, we were joking around as like this was like a ceremonial like send off for Awakened Dynasty, as far as like the endless reanimation spam and crypto thralls not being attached. Like everybody was just like so done with those type of builds. And we were just like, all right, this is cool. And it was like the perfect send-off for the tournament. And so the end of the day for this RTT is mainly what I wanted to highlight. We went 1-2. 1-2. We won one game against the mirror match. And then we more or less got destroyed in the other ones. And, you know, if you're a new player, that's the biggest thing. Or if you've been playing for a while and you're trying to jump into the competitive scene, like I really want this story today in this video to be like hopefully like an inspiration and motivate you that you can start from the bottom and then you just work your way up. All right. So we went 1-2, and some big lessons learned. I mean, just going back, I think it was more, reflection as far as, hey, like I just need to get better. I need to play into like different style armies and not like just my own group of people that I play with. And so it was just a great time. So if we fast forward, moving on, we're going to go to, this is the last RTT I'm going to highlight, and then we're going to go into the GTs, okay? Because I competed in 3 GTs this year. And I think the goal for next year is I want to compete in, I think, 4 total. So this was the last RTT I want to highlight, and this was in April of this year. And this was at Ordo Fanaticus. It's in my local clubhouse here, and I feel very fortunate to live so close to this clubhouse. One, because the competitive scene is incredible in this area. We even have like a couple Team USA players that are local here, which is just crazy to be like around that caliber of players. And they're just like great individuals as well, which makes it even better. And so went into this RTT. I think there was like 20 players total, or 22 maybe. And my biggest goal for this year for me personally is I wanted to go undefeated at an RTT, or at least go 3-0. That was like my goal for this year, like personal goal. And in April of 2024, we did just that, and we ended up going 3-0 at this tournament, which I was like super proud of myself. And one of the best games at the end was against Ryan, who I'll touch on it later in this video, but there's a GT that we recently played out a month or 2 ago, and he actually won the whole thing with Death Guard, so he is a very good player and just a great opponent. Like I think that's one of the best things that got me hooked in the competitive scene so early, was just like the appreciation and the respect for the game, especially at like an extremely high level. And both players are just wanting their best game from their opponent. And a lot of times what that means is just making sure that each player is operating with the same level of information. And so you're not really trying to keep things from your opponent. You're trying to remind them, courtesy at the top of turn, like, hey, I can do this react move, or hey, like, remember this. And, letting your opponent make decisions off of like the same known information. And so this was awesome. I mean, this was just super cool. Got to meet more players in the community, and we were starting to more or less kind of build up this team on the side. And so going into our first GT, which was a couple weekends later in late April, this was out in Pendleton, Oregon, organized by Ethan, and was the Casino Royale. And I think there was like roughly 80 players at this GT, and it was 5 rounds, and had again some great caliber players in this area, and was super excited. Was playing Necron, Hypercrypt, and it was just a great time. Had my buddies; these are my 2 like childhood friends, and this gentleman right here, Ryan, it was the person that got us more or less back into it. So it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't be here. So it was our buddy Bryce, and all of us making the trek out to Pendleton for this GT, which was like super freaking awesome. And the best part, it's a casino, so I mean, you can have your tequila, you can drink. It was just like a great venue space. Baron of Dice was one of the sponsors, and overall, just a fantastic time. I just wanted to like show you guys just some pictures of us playing, and just kind of seeing the growth, right? And just kind of bringing our friends together. And our team is Underwhelming Force, play off of Overwhelming Force, but we're Underwhelming Force, and you're going to see as the year goes on, we're kind of slowly just growing it up here. And as our boy Dylan plays Orcs Dread Mob right now, and our buddy Hayden up in Seattle area. Both Ryan and Hayden are up there, so great to have them on the squad. And then Bryce again, just all kind of like joking around, having a laugh. Dylan playing some Dread Mob action here, and buddy Bryce. And I think the biggest thing with this GT is, as you can see, I mean, we kind of things are starting to develop more, right? We're like forming a team, getting things together, getting better, and just trying to slowly grow this thing up. And overall, again, it was a great tournament. Got to meet some incredible people. And, through it all, I mean, at the end of the day, this is what it's about. I mean, just like bringing your homies together, having some fun, having some drinks, sharing some good stories, and, get to play some Warhammer in the process. And I think that's what makes this like hobby so addicting. So much more than video games. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just, you get out of the house, interact with people. I mean, it's the best. It's the best. So, at this tournament, we ended up finishing, I think it was like 7th or 8th. And overall, we went 4-1 at this GT. I was extremely proud of myself, and played against 2 mirror matches with Necrons and both Hypercrypt, because Hypercrypt, this was the point when it was like really, really strong, and definitely needed some points cut. So, I'm not gonna lie, that definitely probably helped my results a little bit, but. Campbell is actually with Goonhammer, which was my one loss for the tournament, but it was a pleasure playing him. It was definitely a good game. One of those where it was good lessons as far as I definitely made some silly mistakes in the 3rd round of the day. My brain was kind of fried, especially with playing Hypercrypt, because it's just such a technical detachment to play. And I didn't really beat myself up over it too much over the loss. It's just kind of like, sleep on it, reset, and then come into day 2, like ready to go. But there was just some very silly errors that I made in turn 1. Not to discredit Campbell at all. I mean, he played a fantastic game. But I definitely felt like that was not my best showing in that 3rd round that day. And definitely some things I could have done better. But Campbell, he was a fantastic opponent, played it extremely well, and definitely deserved the dub there. And I think he went on to, he finished 2nd overall or maybe 3rd overall in the tournament. So he did really well with that list as well. So, and then going into the second to last GT, it was US Open Tacoma. And boy, was this incredible. This was like a bucket list time. Growing up as kids, like we had always dreamed of going to a tournament like this. And so this was the one that you like X'd on your calendar like 6 months in advance. We were just so hyped to be there. And if you ever get a chance to go to a super major, I mean, it is just something else. I mean, they had like Nick Nanavati there from Art of War, which was like so awesome just to meet him in person. And they had like all the stat check guys there, which was like super cool. They had Josh Roberts was there from like G-Dub, a couple other people. Just like all these people you're so used to seeing like on YouTube and other places, and then you're like actually seeing them in person. It was just like so surreal, so cool. So if you ever get a chance to go to Super Major, go. It is like the best time. We went with all of our friends. We rented out a Airbnb and kicked it at the end of the night. We're playing like Magic, grilling out food. I mean, it's just totally the right way to do it. And this GT was it was a time. We're still playing Hypercrypt. This was more or less my list. Had a Monolith, double Satan. We had like Immortals, Scarabs, Imhotep, Xeris, all that stuff. Kind of an interesting, slightly like off meta, I would say, list. And the biggest thing through this tournament that I learned was the fact that you need to design a list that is as good going second as it is going first. And that was really exposed in Tacoma for me personally. That was, I think, overall, like the biggest lesson is I had a good list that was very good at going second, but it was terrible going first. And I went first 6 out of the 8 games. And as you know, Hypercrypt, it definitely loves going second, but you do need to plan for going first. And I did not design a list that was good at doing that. And that's on me. And I think that overall, that was like the biggest lesson for me of the tournament. I think the second biggest thing was just having more ability to do damage in the list. And I don't think the list that I brought kind of hit that break point. And so reflecting back, at least for me, like those were the 2 biggest lessons, I think, going into this year when it comes to list design, making sure I hit those points. And just a couple more pictures from Tacoma. This was like at the end of the day, like people were just like leaving some of their armies there, which was like crazy. But that was one of the best parts. I mean, just seeing like all the armies and all the people, like it's just, I can't explain it. You just gotta go. You gotta go. So, and then we lucked out, and they actually selected me to be on stream. So, if you want to check that out, it is on Warhammer's Twitch channel. Going back into their VODs, and you can check that out. Maybe I can put like a link down at the bottom of this video with a link to, like, to that stream if you guys want to check out that game. But got to play against the Grey Knight gentleman himself with the Thunder Hawk. What a fantastic game. And you can see Nick Navati over there. And oh man, it was just so surreal just to be on stream. Great match. Never had played against the Thunderhawk before, and we were just having just a great time back and forth. And it was just a blast. And at the end of the day, that's what Warhammer 40K is about. And then at the end of the night, all the homies just literally just eating chicken strips, chicken fingers, taquitos, and watching my stream back live. And they all just like could not believe it. It was so cool. And so at the end, we finished 5-3. At one of them is not logged here for the Grey Knight matchup, but we did end up winning that game on stream, and we finished the end of the tournament strong. But I think these first couple games definitely could have gone differently. You know, in looking back, I mean, these were definitely winnable games, but you know, again, you got to get those reps in with like people outside of your people you regularly play with, and you know, when you go to these GTs and super majors, like, you are going to go against better opponents, and at the end of the day, like, that's how you get better. And I think the biggest thing, like, watching this video, you're seeing the progress, you know, going from like, you know, 1 and 2 and like your first like RTT, and then like, you know, through those repetitions and like wanting to get better, you can make that progress, right? So was still very happy with how I finished. I think I was like 160th or something out of like, I don't know how many. I think there was like 500 at the tournament. So I think, you know, one of the biggest goals I think for me next year is trying to place in the top 100 or like the top 75. I genuinely think I can do it, but it's not going to be an easy task by any means. But yeah, it was just a blast. And then to round out the year, we finished at the Guardian Gobler, which was a little over a month ago. Organized by Jonathan with Straight Silver Gaming. Check him out. He is just a great organizer. Everything is just like, every tournament I've done that he's organized has been just super dialed. The people have been fantastic. He like prints his own terrain, which is super cool. And yeah, it's so cool to have like an organizer locally around here that's putting together these tournaments, because it just makes the overall like competitive scene so much better, and people just get so much more hype for these tournaments. Like, and so the GT that we're competing in at the end of January is one he's also organizing. So unfortunately, I won't be at LVO this year. Definitely, I think next year, but I definitely will be at Tacoma GT this summer. So if y'all are going to that, let me know. I'd love to say hey. But yeah, Guardian Gobler, I took my Awaken list. And this was a great time, so much fun, and just wanted to highlight like how things are growing, you know. So now teams getting bigger. We got Daniel, we got Ty, you still got Bryce, we got Dylan. Daniel's down in California. He like flies up for these tournaments. Like, the man's crazy. He plays Grey Knights. And we got Ty, we got Tom, we got Kyle, and we got Coop. And yeah, I mean, things are just like, the team is also just like slowly growing, and you know, very active team as far as like theory crafting lists and bouncing ideas off each other. And it is man, it's just been like an incredible year, and it would not be like even close to as fun at all if these people like weren't a part of it. I mean, that's what like I think genuinely keeps us going, and it keeps it super fun. So we were all a team and competing in this tournament. It was a singles tournament, so there was a couple mirror matches, which was hilarious. So going over to the results here, this is the first one. I didn't realize actually you could put like tournaments in tabletop battles like till later. So going into this next year, I think it'll be a little bit more organized as far as that goes. But Um, didn't do as well as I would have hoped in this one, but that's okay. Like I want to like I think it's the biggest thing with this channel is like, you know, there's going to be some tournaments, you know, you did really well and things worked out, and then some tournaments, you know, it didn't, right? And those are the ones you really want to look at and figure out, you know, what you can learn from those moving forward. And good players will always say too. I mean, I think if you're a very good player and a very good competitive player, I think most of the time you could probably go 4-1 at a GT, but it is very hard to go 5-0 without some luck. I mean, it does sometimes happen as far as like, you know, you just got good matchups all the way through, your win path was easy, and sometimes like, you know, you just get stuck with a couple really bad matchups on bad missions, and on this tournament was a little bit of that. I think the round 2 against Dylan, he's one of our teammates, just a great guy, love playing him, and this was just a tough one. I mean, it was a very like winnable game for me, but at the same time, it was like Purge the Foe, which Awaken Dynasty. That is just it's a rough one, and we were going first, and it was going to be a tough mountain to climb, but we tried. But either way, you know, it was just a great time, and so and then we had triple Exorcist Sisters Lift with James, which I was like, you know, there was definitely some things that went my way in that matchup, and was able to pull it out. So you know, no complaints there, and played against Brian in round 4 with his World Eaters, and Angron unfortunately came back round 3 or round 4. I think he round by Ingressin Min. So usually when World Eaters get Angron back, it's going to be pretty tough to pull that one out. So kudos to him. He played it really well, and we ended up sneaking out a draw in the last game. So yeah, this was just a great time. And yeah, I mean, it just makes me that much more excited for 2025 and what's to come. And I think definitely my biggest goal this year is to try to go undefeated at a GT, like a 5-rounder. I think it would be too big of an ask to try to go like 8-0 at a super major. I mean, that's just like one step at a time. But if anything through this video, if you all made it to the end, I think the biggest thing is hopefully just draw inspiration from this story and these results this year, and just me being as transparent as possible with my results and just the progress that I've seen in myself this last year. And you know, how, you know, everybody starts somewhere, and as long as you practice and you stay consistent with it, you're gonna get better, and you're gonna get to where you want to go. It's just gonna take a little time. So with that said, yeah, till the next one.